Alright, good evening. I want to say another comment about what I was talking today. It's still before Shkia, even though I need some light, so it's still Chaf Sivan. And I was reading the live tweets from the Summer Kinnis today. And Summer Rebbe Shlita Barn. I'm machshiv both of them. I don't take sides. I'm not a politician, and so that no one should think that I'm taking one side or the other side. I'm machshiv them both. They're different, but I know them both, and it's not for me to be taking sides. But what I have to say about what happens to Rebbe Aaron today is having a kinnis. With Moshe Sternbach, a big poisek. Excuse me. But excuse me. What do we have here? He said that the Rebbe said that Zionism is ma'akev the geula. That holds back the redemption from coming. He says when Mashiach comes, I'll point to the Zionists and say, you are the ones who prevented me from coming. You held me back. And what is the connection between this and what we said in our last two videos about the Baal Shem Tov saying, when will the Master come? This is when your well springs go out. People think to be a chassid, the Torah Baal Shem Tov is someone you daven to Sfard, you wear a gartel, maybe wear a straddle beketshe, and that's Chasidus. It's not Chasidus. It's nothing to do with Chasidus. Maybe it makes you Chasidish, but that has nothing to do with the Derech Baal Shem Tov. Baruch Hashem. Most of what we do today is connected to the Heiliger, the Chassam Sofer, and that's really the derech of today's Charei Shiyidin. The derech of Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer also had a shpor from Chasidus. He had a shpor from the Aflor. Was his Rebbe, and also was an Adler. Maybe it wasn't Hasidish, it was a Mekubal. And so he came from that world of Kabbalah and Hasidus, but he was an Ashkenazi Sharov, and it was a Gadol Ador, Chassam Sofer. And the derech of the Chassam Sofer is the derech that we have today of the Charei Shiyidin, which is beautiful, and Baruch Hashem we have such things. But is that the Indian of, and included in that is also Chodesh Min Torah, not allowed to have anything new. We go in the old ways. We're proud to wear old-fashioned clothing. We're proud to speak Yiddish and not to speak the vernacular, things like that, even though I'm speaking the vernacular, but that's because I'm involved in reaching out. That the well springs should go outside. But Tzvishin Inns, people saw the video. I had my son's bris, was in a Hamish Medrash, and I spoke Yiddish because that's the derech of Chassam Sofer, and it's a gewaldige thing, and it's a choshev thing, and that's how we should conduct ourselves culturally. Chassidus is not about culture. Yes, the Hasidic communities have their culture, but that's not what it means, the Torah Baal Shem Tov. That's why Samarov said that the Torah Baal Shem Tov has been forgotten. And even to go even further, the Divrei Chaim said that the Torah Baal Shem Tov doesn't even apply anymore. But then the Samarov said that the Torah Baal Shem Tov, Ruba Kekuloi, like 99% of Torah Baal Shem Tov, is in the Chovos Levavos. Samarov said he wanted to write a sefer on what is really Torah's Baal Shem Tov. But unfortunately, he never got around to it. Imagine Mistama, I would say Ad Kedei Kach, if Samarov would have written such a sefer, Mashiach would be here. But we weren't Zeicher, that's why we don't have such a thing. But going back to what we're saying, from Rabbi Bar Tzadok and so forth, there's two sides of the problem that we have. I don't think everyone recognizes both sides. Every Yid has to keep Torah mitzvahs. Every Yid has to believe in an authentic Torah theology. This is not a question. Both belief and practice, we have to go al pi Torah. No one questions that. But the thing is that people imagine, many people imagine, that all it would take for Mashiach to come is if all the Zionim would be from, then Mashiach would be here. And it's not true. All the tzaddikim know this. All the tzaddikim knew this. Even the Kloisenberger Rav also knew this. It's not just a Satmar thing. I saw an article recently. It was a Satmar Baba writing about, answering a rabbi in Mishpacha magazine, something about, is it right for us to use the Holocaust imagery when referring to Zionists? And the answer is really, if you have a munah, it's even greater. That the Zionists were worse than the Nazis, because the Nazis killed and even Shlomo Carlebach, who not a person I really want to mention, but Shlomo Carlebach, I think, told Ben Gurion this, or maybe it was Dayan, I don't remember. I think this story goes like this, that he went to Moshe Dayan, and he said something, you've kept the body of the Jewish people alive, but you've killed their souls. Something like that. He's like, just like we need an army for war, we need an army for peace. I don't remember how the story goes exactly. Not that the Shlomo Carlebach is a Bar Hachi. He's not. He was actually quite a big Russia, but they say they did tshuva, so right? Zionism Nasus like a Zachias, Beginian, Mistama made a tikkun and did tshuva. He wasn't a big tzaddik the way people think, but he had, even if Begashris wasn't a big tzaddik, but he often, the problem was he had also this hashkafa that came from Shabtai Tzvi. That was the problem. Same thing with Cook, same thing, all of them. They had the Ashpor from Shabtai Tzvi, and that Kali gemacht the ganze Zach. He had big potential, but there's a difference between actual potential. But even he understood certain inyanim, despite how the question between the actual and the potential by Shlomo Carlebach. I don't want to talk about it right now. It's not kedai to talk about it. It's not worthwhile. But all of this being said, and I'm no one to judge Shlomo Carlebach in Ocha Russia. I'm also a very evil person. I'm also a sinner. Maybe the difference, I usually try not to mix politics and religion. And I try not to mix, I try to keep business and pleasure different. But I'm still a sinner. I remember I said this to a tzaddik once. Choyte is ein Sache, but Machte is a Sache Ärger. So, a shtikla Machte also. All this being said, what do we mean the Zionism is holy? We know it says in the Gemara, Ein ben David ba'ad shetichel malchus is luchus Yisrael. And I know there are two different ways to learn that. Some learn it, it says the son of David won't come until the most insignificant government will cease among Israel. And it talks, it's a pasuk in Yeshayahu that talks about pruning off the thorns, a verse in the book of Isaiah in the Bible. It's a biblical idea. And so, but the interpretation of what exactly does that mean? It's what do we mean by that until the most insignificant government ceases to exist? So what exactly does it mean? So some interpret it to mean that there won't be any Gentile government having any rule over Israel, and others understand it to mean that the Jews won't have any government. There won't be any Jewish government, and even the slightest Jewish government holds back Mashiach from coming. Obviously, this is a point where you can't say both are right. Say Elu ve'elu divrei Chaim, Samrav says only applies to Chazal. To the interpretation of Chazal, they obviously can't both be right. I mean, you could say we need neither one, so then there's nothing. So then it was anarchy. What does it mean? So that doesn't make any sense either. If it means perhaps total liberty, that there's no Indian of Malchus, that we are functioning in a libertarian society, and that's what's really going to bring Mashiach, is a libertarian approach as opposed to an overarching and overreaching government, which certainly Israel is. No one can question how messed up the Israeli government is. Everybody knows the Israeli government is a horrible, horrible government. But that's not the problem. The problem is even if it was a good government. But the thing is, we're not talking about religion. Of course, if it was a religious government, it would be much worse. I don't think anyone can imagine. Only very crazy religious Zionists believe that somehow a religious government, and most religious Zionists don't want a religious government. They're very happy with the government how it is, even though they recognize its problems. Very few want the government to be like Iran, forcing everyone to be religious. Maybe there are people like that. Even Kahana, I don't think, wanted to impose religion, and all the Haredim generally ask for is maintenance of the status quo. But even that, is it really proper? We have to ask ourselves, what do we need the status quo for? To make sure that we can still marry their children? What do we need to marry their children for? Cut them off from Klal Yisrael. Let them be mamzerim. Let them destroy everything and not have any schus to protect them. Why does the Medina Israel need the schus? We're feeding the Sitra Achor with the kedusha of the Rabbanut and of the Aguda. That's what's maintaining the Medina. The Medina would be gone if it was bereft of Yiddishkeit. But because you have religious aspects in the Medina, and that you're giving schusim to the Medina by allowing the Medina the schus of supporting yeshivas, this in itself it's a problem. This in itself is keeping Zionism alive. I mean, you're feeding the monster. But there's more to it than that. Because the idea of Zionism is a apostle idea, not because it's not religious, and not because the people are not religious. It's a apostle idea because it's nonsense, it's racist, it's wrong, it doesn't fit in our modern society, it has no place in our modern society. And that's the problem with Zionism. And that's the problem we need to fix. It's not, yes, Jewish people have to be religious. But the fact of the matter is, well, we don't run after. When we say the Jewish people have to be religious, we have to focus on the Hamishe, Haredische Jews who need chizik. That's our first priority. That's the Klal Yisrael. The people who just happen to be born to a Jewish mother are not part of Klal Yisrael until they do tshuva. And they're nechshav kagoy l'chol davar. That's the halacha. The halacha is someone who has no shaykhs to Yiddishkeit, just because of an accident of birth they happen to be born Jewish, doesn't make them special. It's a choiv on us to accept them as part of Klal Yisrael. They're not part of Klal Yisrael. The Klal Yisrael, the Jewish people are only people whose devotion to Judaism is religiously based. I would include, to a certain extent, the conservative and even the reform, because at least they have epis, a religion, behind it. And so too, for sure, the religious Zionists and the good are part of Klal Yisrael. That's not a question. And even Chabad. Some people might say it's only a good and Satmar of the Klal Yisrael, and not the religious Zionists. So it depends. There are different madregas also, but among all of them, the venom of Zionism affects even the Satmar community. And I remember this very clearly. My wife and I, we went to a protest when we were Chassid and Kala, when we were dating. Went to, I shouldn't say, but I remember it was Cholamoid Pesach. We went to a Satmar protest. And I don't remember who the speaker was, but he said it was against, they were desecrating graves. And the speaker said that Zionism entered a kaltkeit into the Jewish people, a coldness, a kfira. And that's why they had no problem. We have progress, we have to build our country. We can't worry about graves. And then the racism. I remember arguing with friends of mine, who cares? They're not even Jewish graves. Those are Romans. So we have to desecrate the Roman graves? We have to insult Gentile graves? That's a chilul Hashem. We don't want them to do it to us and we're going to do it to them? Are you out of your mind? That's Zionism. But forget about all of that. Their progress is more important than the Jewish faith about the resurrection. Just a very common Jewish belief is we need a Jewish burial to help with the resurrection, make it a lot easier for sure. Obviously, if someone it's out of their control, they were in the Holocaust and they were cremated, all right, we can't do anything about that. And those people, of course, will be resurrected. Those are holy martyrs. They're on a higher level than any of us. They're together with Rabbi Akiva and Yitzchak Avinu. Those people we're not questioning. So, of course, they'll have a resurrection. But in general, for someone to go and choose to be cremated, all right, it's a machlokas, not everyone agrees, but the general, plain Jewish heart tells the average Jew who's not even so religious, no cremation, no autopsy. We want a kosher Jewish burial, accordance with tradition. Thomas Nafshi Moisi Sharim. And Zionism removes that from so many Jews, even though the average Jew in Israel, Baruch Hashem, still has within him some Pintalayid, that he doesn't want to be cremated, he doesn't want to have an autopsy, he doesn't want all these things. But still, we need to wake up to this and recognize that the average Jew in Israel is a voilayid. The average, especially the Sfardish and they're nice, good, frum Jews. Most of them are not Zionists, really. they're patriotic Israelis, but they're not Zionists. I remember hearing Chacham Elbaz. He was speaking somewhere, and there was another Sephardic rabbi introducing him, and he said, "Anachnu medabrim b'lashon hakodesh v'lo b'ivrit." It's a mashu acher. He said, "I'm speaking the holy language. I'm not speaking Ivrit. That's something else. We have nothing to do with Ivrit." This was a Sephardic rabbi from and he had enough ehrlichkeit to understand the difference between Ivrit and Lashon HaKodesh. And it's not just saying oi and ois and this and that. It's a different language. Even if you pronounce the Sephardic Havara, it's a different language from Lashon HaKodesh and Ivrit. The two different languages. That's the whole idea. This is the whole point I'm bringing out. There's a depth. There's a spirituality. We have to go back to what it says will be Nevi'im. This is what we're looking forward to. Not, it's like Rabbi Orlovsky said like this. He said, "Look in Israel how many rocks there are in the street." He said, when Mashiach comes, every rock will be a flower. And for someone to say that this is the Geula, they're selling themselves short. And of course, it doesn't necessarily have to mean. It could mean literally that every rock will be a flower. It doesn't have to mean that. Because what it means is that there's an essential depth for our soul. And that's the problem. You have someone like Rav Kook, who wrote such beautiful poetry, who had such potential in soul, but he was poisoned by the Sabbatean ideology. And that's why, Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld for a long time had a lot of respect for Rabbi Kook. And they were good friends. And then he saw he's too far gone. And even he suffered from mental illness. It wasn't really his fault. Can't blame him. Mustama, he was a tzaddik. It just he was mentally ill. He couldn't learn Torah from him. He had mental problems. He was bipolar, and it's not an insult to say that because it's not his fault. But the point is that even with the poetry and the emotion and all, to be a Baal Hergish and there's still something missing. And to come the greatest, Rabbi Barzok said this, I've seen this by a lot of tzaddikim, the greatest goal we can have is just to be a normal person and still be ehrlich and good. Because there's so many people who are religiously, mentally ill. And they become obsessed. Lashon hara. This is every little thing. They lose their mind. And to be honest, there's a time and a place in a person's life to go through that and to have that experience, and to be an extremist for a little bit. But if you stay there too long, it's a sign of mental illness. You have to go through that stage in your life, and then find the balance and be normal. And be normal, but be good. Be normal because every little kid is born selfish. And so you need religion to cure you. There's a song, Losing My Religion. Right? And I always used to think that's a song about atheism. It's a song about heresy. No, it's a song about how in the South they would say if someone like he gets into a fight in the bar, he's losing his religion because he should know better. Right? And he loses his religion. Religion means what holds you back. That's what it really means, is the bounds that you're in. I'm losing my religion. I can't, And so we need to develop religion. And religion will make us better. But then sometimes we can be too religious, and we have to atone for the sin of being too religious. And there's a time and a place for that. And then you find that balance. And it's so difficult to find that perfect balance, not to be an extremist and not to be lax, not to be too religious and not to be too heretical. To find that perfect balance, this is what we need. And this is what will bring Mashiach. And the thing is, Zionism is not helping that. Maybe part of it, you could, in a sense, this is what my answer is. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. Like Satmarov used to say, all the tzaddikim say every other Rebbe is wrong and only I'm right. And Satmarov said, no, I agree everyone else is wrong and I'm also wrong. So I could also be wrong, but I have my own idea. This is my idea. And it's probably wrong. But to me, the ideal right now to solve the Israeli problem would be for Israel to annex all the land that they won in 1967, whatever they haven't given back yet, whatever is still disputed occupied territory. Annex it, or at least annex the West Bank and give the Palestinians Gaza, or better yet, give the Egyptians Gaza. Let the Egyptians handle the Palestinians. Take the West Bank, or even take Gaza. Make a path for citizenship. Develop something like this. Also, federalism. Federalism would solve most of Israel's problems. Make several states, not a one-state solution, not a two-state solution, a five-state solution, but 5 states with five united states with one central federal government that's not that strong, and the local state governments. And so you have one state as Gaza, one state, and maybe 2 states in the West Bank, one for Jews, one for Arabs. And even the current state of Israel, divided up into 3 or 4 states. Maybe one is more religious, maybe one is Mizrahi, maybe one is secular, maybe one is Aguda. And give everyone their own states. Make Bnei Brak its own state under the federal government. Divide up the country into states with a certain level of autonomy on the state level, answering to the federal government on the constitutional level that comes to ensure freedom, that comes to ensure the same rights we talk about in the Bill of Rights, the quote-unquote negative freedoms, and not the quote-unquote positive freedoms, because the positive freedoms are really not freedoms. The quote-unquote negative freedoms are the true freedoms, the true liberties. Freedom of religion, meaning don't let the government get too powerful. That would be the solution, but the people in the government don't want to lose their power. That's always the problem. But that's a solution. The solution, I think, would be like this, a Federalist Solution to Israel. I want to write a book about it. And the also good thing about it would be, is then it would no longer be a Jewish state. And then it's no longer violating the problems that we have by having a Jewish state. The individuals, meaning it wouldn't no longer be a Jewish country on the federal level. On the local level, there's really no problem to have autonomous Jewish governments on the local level when it's not a national government. It's a state, local government. That's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But personally, I think that should be the answer. Make smaller states, municipalities, whatever it is. They already have municipalities, but they don't really have like counties or states in Israel the way we have. Develop that type of a government. I think that's going to solve a lot of the problems that there are in Israel. But the thing is nobody wants it, because all the people are going to lose their power. Whoever has power, on every side, they're going to lose their power. Nobody wants to lose their power. That's the greatness of Donald Trump, was that he relinquished so much power. By becoming president of the United States, he became a pariah. He lost money. He lost prestige. People hate him now. But he's doing it for the good of America and for the good of the world. And I think we're going to come out of not only 4 years of President Trump, hopefully 8 years of President Trump, a better world, a better country, a better world. And I think with that type of a role model, we might have something like how in the second base of Mikdash, there was a picture of Shushan Abira, which to remind us of how the Persians helped us. Maybe there'll be a picture of Washington Abira in the third Beis Hamikdash to remember how Israel learned a lesson from America, because America is more true to the values of Torah than Israel has ever been in its 70 years. America is more of a Torah true country than Israel could ever imagine to be. And in that way, we truly would be worthy to have this expansion of consciousness and recognition that the whole world, then Mashiach will come. It might take a long time. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Ein ben David ba'ad sheticha malchus azulus miYisrael. And I don't see the state of Israel going anywhere. But if they would do this, I think it would be a big solution. All right. I've sat and talked too long. I got to daven, go to sleep. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. And hopefully we'll be zeicha to all good things. Whatever, and we can take these lessons to heart in our own lives as well. We're not going to change the world landscape. We're not going to change the national landscape. But we can change ourselves, and it's probably much harder. You know, like Phil Salanter said, it's harder to change one midah than to finish all Shas. All right, but we should be zeicha, like we said. That the glory of the Lord will be revealed, and all flesh will see it together. If the mouth of the Lord declares it, blessed be the Lord forever. Amen.